Yeah.
That we've sort of seen in different tournaments that when Clawz has lost sometimes in tournament, there's been a really and I promise I'm not making excuses here, that there are certain tendencies Clawz can have where he'll pretty much spawn off on death and instantly, dash in and just run in and die immediately again because he's trying to rush, almost like his heart's not in it maybe. But then when it's time to really win, when there's $200,000 on the line, I think we're almost guaranteed to see the proper Clawz. Yeah. And that's going to be very difficult for Dandaking to deal with, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And there we see the beaked Galena from Clawz. I'm a big fan, and we're going to have a mirror match here on Blood Run.
Now we can see Nyx getting selected, of course, in the duel. You're definitely a lot more likely to see Nyx get picked. Her Ghost Walk doesn't really have enough utility in 2v2, I think, to make it worth using over other champions in the game. But in duel, it really is a fantastic champion to pick. And I think Clawz in particular, he said many times that this is his favorite champion in the game.
Absolutely. And even after the small nerf, the half-second, delay in the fire after Ghost Walk, he's still going to go with it. So maybe he has something up his sleeve. Maybe he knows how to utilize that a little bit better. As we're going to get into this Blood Run, Dandaking versus Clawz, and we're going to get right into it right now and follow Dandaking as he gets that nail gun and heavy spawn.
Now I believe even to be at this point, Dandaking did have to defeat Maestro Dewey, so he's actually taken a Maestro head already, and he's going to be looking to try and sort of repeat history here and take out one more. Unfortunately, that fight does not go in his favor, and it's actually going to be Clawz taking the first blood here on Blood Run.
Yeah, quick frag there. Orbs come out, and the damage is just too strong from Clawz.
It's an interesting turn of momentum I think you can get when you score one of those super early frags, because you're both guaranteed some kind of, major pickup at the very beginning. If you then immediately get a kill, it's almost like you're guaranteed that sort of period when you spawn, like right now, they've been able to pick up the second item, and it's kind of benefited Clawz because he was in a great position to sort of, try and pepper out some of that damage. But Dandaking with Galena. Galena's a very defensive character on this map, isn't she?
Yeah, you can trap at the tallies with the totem, but look at these rails, man. We can already see both players utilizing the rail a lot. Dandaking getting some great shots in. He's got the superior stack. Can he get the jump over with the shotgun right here?
Clawz has got to be super careful. There's not a lot of health to look for. Is that the choice going in for the sort of plasma rifle just because, getting melted away with no armor? Kind of insane how quickly you can get destroyed there, but they've taken that trade, and Mega for a heavy. Clawz gets that immediate rail, and Dandaking's rail fired significantly late. Even Clawz hearing that one probably going, huh? Why did you shoot there?
Yeah, well, I'm not even over there, bro. What was that? Clawz can catch him out. The LG up from Dandaking, so good, pushing him back in. 70 HP, 225s to work with. Is Clawz going to re-peak this? Of course he is.
This is the frustrating thing about Clawz, though, is that every time you feel like you can push this guy, he almost always hits that one fantastic miracle rail, and Dandaking taking a fight that he definitely shouldn't have taken. The second Clawz was near that Mega. Even if he landed that rail, which he did, it meant nothing. He was still guaranteed dead there because Clawz just had to land the second shot. Ghost Walk's been popped. But Dandaking, he would have been a madman to take that fight.
There's the orb to close the gap. He's going to pull out the rail, eats one. Can Dandaking follow this up and finish the frag? 30 HP, and there it is.
Finally managed to take it, man. That was a good fight, and it was worth taking, but there's a lot of work left to go, and the problem is that the Ghost Walk is down for such a long time.
Yeah, if Dandaking can just wait this out, get some time shards to work with, he's in a decent position here. He needs to take out the Galena. He concedes the heavy, but he could get the drop right here. Ooh, the tri-bolt into the rail. Gets a rail of his own, but needs to back away here. 45 HP.
Yeah, I really feel like with Dandaking, like he tried to sort of spring that trap, but almost wasn't ready for how fast Clawz would go around that corner. Just a little bit slow on his rocket and doing minimal damage and taking a ton in return. He's still railable with this health too, which is super dangerous.
Yeah, but he does a great job of staying alive and getting that Ghost Walk back, and he's actually going to get in on the Mega, which is pretty big, and heavy is up. He's not going to contest, but he could get this 50 shard and then play from the tri-bolt area and get some damage in. Clawz already making his way over to the TP. Here's not early.
I missed the next one.
My bad, I'm excited.
That's going to be sick. A story for another time, though, as the teleporter comes out, and it's just going to be an LG fight, and would you believe it? Clawz wins the LG 1v1.
Yeah, who would have seen that coming?
But that was a fantastic start for Clawz. A pretty slow, I think, so as things were sort of turned around, it was a fast round. I wanted to say fast and somehow said slow. That's literally the opposite of what I wanted to say.
We just need to pop some more monsters here. So Dandaking gets the heavy spawn. He's going to try and... Oh, That rocket didn't do any damage. The orb comes out. He's actually going to take it late. I like that. Gets both items. Clawz tries to chase. Doesn't have the stack for this. Eats a lot of rockets, but 29 HP. The shotgun is too superior. 2 HP after that fight.
I think by all accounts, it's remarkable that Clawz actually survived that. You know, imagine losing both of those major items, and what was that rocket?
That was
Did
incredible.
you see how high Dandaking got sent there? My word.
That, and it almost obliterated him, and it saved Clawz's life. So that rocket was everything right there.
Yeah, it was indeed. But it kind of just go back from that first fight that we... Oh, my God. Every time I'm trying to say something, Clawz just does something ridiculous. 2 frags already down. This is looking to be a dominant map number 1 here on Blood Run. But again, just to bring it back, the fact that he lost both of those initial items and still won the fight with just a super shotgun is like, what?
Yeah, absolutely insane. Now he has gigantic stacks. Dandaking needs to get in on some weaponry here. Only a nail gun and shotgun to work with. Does grab the super shotgun, which can be very effective, but again, Clawz tracking him with the sound. Gets a good rail as he tries to make his way to the rockets. A little bit of return nail damage, but nothing doing as he'll eat another rail, and now Clawz is gonna just try and close in. That rocket was almost phenomenal here, as he can't quite clear the corner to chase and finish it off.
I mean, that rocket even felt like it was on target. It was just that one staircase, you know, they're just...
That pesky stare.
Blocking things off, and it's a level of confidence that Clawz is showing where I don't think anyone in this game chases harder than Clawz will chase. The fact that he knows he has so much stack, he can afford to just rocket jump to get even faster than need be. And just that little flick rail, Dandaking is in a horrific position now. Really sort of, I think, betting on a miracle at this stage. Clawz has so much control, and the longer Dandaking has to stay here and try and recover, he's not able to fight for the heavy. Can't get the mega. Going for heavy now would be suicide.
And it is.
I don't know what... I feel like he must have felt like he had to go for it, right? If he's that far behind, he's got to try and make something happen, but the likelihood of Clawz chasing it and meeting him at the heavy was so likely.
Yeah, he's just absolutely getting choked out literally around every corner. Clawz has the rockets out, getting the damage, getting the information, and Dandaking is just getting absolutely choked out of this map, and he needs to crawl out of this hole down 0-2 early.
He's going to bet on having a good start. I think that's one of the reasons we went in for Ranger, just in case he spawns near heavy.
What a rocket jump.
Clawz going in again, but Dandaking trying to go for the return damage rather than using the orb to survive, and unfortunately as it misses, he's just a sitting duck. Clawz getting another good start, and I'm very concerned about this, to the point where just how that first frag went. Wouldn't be surprised if this first map was a 3-0. Dandaking has been behind every single time this map has happened.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, Clawz is playing fearlessly right now. Rocket jumping up, using the orb to close the gap. He's not afraid, and if he's hitting his shots, he's forcing Dandaking, okay, I'm going to chase you, and you need to hit your defensive rockets, and if you don't, you're going to get fragged.
That's the scary thing about fighting Clawz, I think, is that he's so ludicrously aggressive with how he pushes. It kind of forces perfect accuracy on the defense, on top of worrying about moving as fast as you can. Like, that's a lot of basically hand-eye coordination that you basically have to do, otherwise Clawz is going to kill you for free.
Drops down into that rail. It could be dangerous, and a fantastic follow-up here. Does pop the Ghost Walk for a little bit of insurance, but that's okay. That rocket jump not as okay, but the stack is fantastic, and he's going to make his way around. Dandaking looking a little stronger now. Could get the jump on Clawz. Clawz playing very passive over by that LG, just waiting it out.
Yeah, smart play by Clawz, kind of understanding that objective number 1 kind of needs to be getting the LG. Objective 2 being the railgun, of which Dandaking actually laid a perfect trap. Hasn't done a massive amount of damage, but he has. Now he's got the rail land 3 in a row, undoing all that work. Clawz finally on the back foot. And a wonderful turn of events that Dandaking was pretty desperate for.
Exactly what he needed. He's hitting 52% rail right now. The LG coming out again, aggressive from Clawz. A good rail into Ghost Walk. He's going to miss the opportunity as Clawz will escape through the TP. But Dandaking knows he's weak, knows that he's probably stacking back up over by the nail gun, and he kind of has him trapped here.
Yeah, in a pretty traditional fashion, though, Dandaking's opting to try and maintain control, and that is a very unfortunate rail to miss, because Clawz smells blood. He's going in. A very brave attempt indeed, and then this time, finally an example of what happens when Clawz all-out aggression just doesn't work out. Yeah,
if you can hit your shots, Clawz kind of risks it and says, I dare you to hit it. I can waste the round, and the Dandaking does and puts himself on the board.
I think even in defeat, though, that round has been important data for Dandaking to show that even though he's been able to essentially finally win a round, Clawz has pretty much sent that message that I'm not afraid to chase you down until the bitter end. Doesn't matter how far behind I am. Because if he got that kill, he could have theoretically snowballed it and got the next frag pretty easily.
Yeah. Pretty even start off this spawn here. Dandaking trying to protect these rockets as best he can. Clawz trying to get some rail damage in, eating a lot of tri-bolt for it though, and could get railed here. And there it is. Dandaking will eat one, but will turn one happily and win the Mega over. Could make his way over to this heavy as well. There's the orb, fantastic, and he's going to get a free kill essentially. Clawz with the gauntlet out, just taking those rockets to the face.
This is kind of the complete opposite effect. Now, Dandaking's going to land even more back-to-back rails. I mean, he could have rocket jumped up there if he wanted to, purely because, you know, range is passive, pretty risk-free, taking minimal damage. But this is what happens when Clawz, pretty much his straight-up fearless. Like, I don't know what he was doing. I really don't know why Clawz. It was almost like he tried to go for the perforation, got a little bit too confident, and then before he could even realize it was a terrible idea, he had no escape plan.
Yeah, he had no items, he had no weapons, he had nothing, and he was like, oh, I'm just kind of stuck in this hallway now, and Dandaking ties it up at 2.
You always worry sometimes that Clawz, he plays from the heart a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Spur of the moment decision of, I'm going to try and go for an ambush here, and then before the logic can catch up to him to say, maybe this is a bad idea, there was no other option. So he had to dedicate and just be a sitting duck, a guaranteed kill, and it almost feels like it was looking so perfect to be a clean 3-0, yet here we are, 1 round away, and how did it happen?
Yeah, just a couple overzealous pushes, and this is, oh, I thought Dandaking was going to drop on that chef. That was very close to get a lot of damage here. But a couple of overzealous pushes, you get a little too overconfident, your opponent hits the shots, and just like this, it tie it up when you could have been 3-0 up into the second map.
I really do worry sometimes that Clawz has a tendency to underestimate his opponent, which kind of allows comebacks that he really should never have allowed to happen. Starts to play a little bit too loose, goes for the big boy plays, and almost like worth remembering, hang on a minute, I'm still against Dandaking right now. You know, this guy is still a world-class Quake player.
Oh, and just look at that, using the trampoline, the orb comes out. Orb comes out from both players, but Clawz gets the initial LG damage, and the rocket will finish him off. Does take a lot of damage. 20 HP after that fight.
I loved the way Clawz tackled that too, the fake out on the jump pad.
Yep.
Going up the jump pad and then immediately falling back down, but on the far right-hand side, you know, so that there's so much obstruction there. Dandaking wouldn't have been able to see that he was ambushed until the last minute when the damage was guaranteed.
What a shot. Dandaking using that wall jump and getting that rail in, saying, I know where you are. I see you.
What a play. What an incredible moment there for Dandaking. And he's got so much stack to work with too.
Oh, now he can chase him with the Ghost Walk, popping it after Clawz. Clawz trying to get that LG out, pushes him through the TP. Dandaking needs to be careful not to eat this nail damage. The wall jump not good enough for the heavy. Dandaking will win that. The rail comes out, misses.
2 in a row.
Yeah. Dan just dancing now.
Could be
dancing Dan.
It could be really costly for Clawz actually that he did sort of miss those shots. Kind of needed to get away. It was remarkable that he even survived there. I really liked it. It was like the perfect timing to just 180 that, get a bunch of damage on the board, and then get so much coverage by the time you've gone through the teleport. It's too far away for his rockets to be significant. Oh my god.
Those rails.
Good god.
Dandaking here way too early, needs to back out. 65 HP, extremely railable here. He's going to get 25 and a little bit of that blood pool.
Can technically tank 2 rails here, but not with much health that he's going to worry about. And there's the trap. Fortunately, he's got the Ghost Walk, but Clawz will have a Ghost Walk of his own. The rail missing, that's going to be punishment to the maximum degree. That is why missing rails against Clawz is a death sentence.
No.
Oh my god, no! What a spawn! Oh, just like that. Just like that.
And that is unfortunate. I don't know what that Ghost Walk play was. A little bit too aggressive down by the Mega. I don't know what his plan was. But yeah, that spawn was unfortunate. Clawz will take it 3-2. Dandaking made it interesting, but again, you can't help but feel like it was because Clawz was just kind of, all right, I'm going to push you. Let's see if you get the frags.
There's like, it's like I kind of said before, like there are different types of Clawz in tournament, and sometimes you can even get multiple versions of him in the middle of one map. And I think we saw signs of that in Blood Run, where we very clearly saw at first a crazy aggressive Clawz that is super tuned in. He knows how much stack his opponent's working with. He knows what weapons they're likely to have. And he picks his fights incredibly well. Now, what happened pretty much halfway through, and which is a big reason as to why the 2 rounds went against him, was purely because it almost felt like Clawz just straight up, I'm going to say, probably just stopped respecting and was being way too aggressive, almost like it was a pub game or something. And that's not the kind of player that you're going to be fighting at Dreamhack.
Yeah. Clawz, you see that jump over rail, never safe. Then the chase right here has the stack to tank the rails. Yeah, again, but look at this play. It's just so ballsy. It's like, you're going to have to do something about this.
And it's just that degree of fearlessness, and it's what makes Clawz, I think, such a scary opponent to fight.
Absolutely.
It's even scary to watch. Like, you know, I don't even want to think about how it feels like to play against this in tournament. where you're against someone who quite literally, even when there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, does not care about what you can do.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable, but Dandaking has a little bit of time, I think, to reflect. We're now going on to Ruins, a significantly different map. You know, I think that the terrain change and the size change alone just kind of transforms things significantly, but because Clawz, you know, he's famous for his LG, but his rail was still something else as well, and this is a rail map.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rail play here. Dandaking actually out-railed Clawz on that one, but you know, if you don't come away with the W, it doesn't really matter, but it is a good sign. Dandaking might be able to put that rail to better use, hopefully pulling away the W here as we're going to enter map number 2. In terms of champ picks, any ideas what's going to come out?
I think we're going to see Nyx again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Visor as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Clawz normally doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about his picks. He normally kind of knows what he wants to go with. Galena makes a lot of sense. Ranger, of course, that makes a lot more sense as well. Which means Clawz's final pick, I kind of think he's probably just going to go for Nyx again. Yeah, Nyx gets selected. And there it is. That's the exact same thing that we just saw. The only difference is going to be the map size.
Yep. Should be interesting. I look forward to if we're going to see any aggressive ghost walk plays, kind of hard reads on it. Again, that delay is a little bit of a killer. You can't get the drop quite as quickly as you used to before the patch, but still extremely strong.
I'm interested to kind of see what the start's going to be here. Who's going to be able to get what weapon? I think Clawz starting near the LG room is always such a famous starting point for him because in many ways it's all he needs. We're going into map number 2. Ruins of Sarnath. It's going to be Maestro Clawz versus Dandaking. Clawz currently 1 map up here in the series.
Yep, all of the pressure is on Dandaking, and now he has the 50 armor. Spawn going straight for that rail. Notices it's gone, and he actually eats one for even peeking. Clawz is like, you're not going to touch that. Dandaking's okay with that, and he's going to grab rockets and Mega.
For a split second, it looked like Clawz might have been bolting it straight for the LG room, but I kind of like the fact that he'd got the rail first. And yeah, there's the Ghost Walk, that instant get out of jail free card. The benefit for Dandaking, though, is that he has actually got his Dire Orb ready to go, so with the health that Clawz is currently sitting on, that's not, I think, damage that Clawz wants to challenge. Speaking of which, he challenges anyway, and it's, I don't know, that didn't seem like a fight worth taking, Lions.
At all, and the spawn so bad for Clawz, and a little bit of payback from that last blood run round there.
I think that's quite possibly the worst spawn I've seen all day. Oh no, poor Clawz.
Yeah, Dandaking very fortunate. He's like, I'll take it. That's fantastic as he makes his way back over that 50 shard and up 2 champs early, a minute in.
I'm pretty sure Dandaking will take any shred of good fortune that he can take. You know, when he's this late on in the tournament, he's been playing amazingly well so far. Gets the orb for a bit of damage, and this is very close, and it will be that first round, one of the first, I think the fastest rounds we've seen in the tournament as well.
Yeah.
A huge part of it came down to that utterly horrendous spawn on that second champion there.
But even then, when Clawz spawned there, he's like, I'm going to go for the armor. He could have orbed away. He saw him a little bit early, so still plus forwarded a little too much for my liking. But let's see if he can get a better stroke of luck off of this spawn here as he misses that opening rail, goes through the telly, grabs the 50.
One of the best rooms I think Clawz can ask for. He was able to spawn near LG and rail respectively, which, as we've been seeing, is pretty much all he needs. Speaking of which, gets one of those rails now. Plenty more left to go. Ranger sitting on a chunky stack, so a fair few more rails to chip away at the life. Gets one. Nice little wall jump, actually, to kind of recover that space, but yeah, he's not going to chase it down. He's been crazy, but he's not that crazy.
Yeah, but Dandaking does force out the Ghost Walk a little bit early, and that is kind of a victory, but a lot of time shards to work with for Clawz over here on this side of the map, so he's going to be able to get that back relatively quickly and almost instantly as he grabs all 6.
Now, there's a little bit of a delay on the Heavy and Mega. We just kind of saw that kind of like disengage there where Clawz went to take the Heavy and Dandaking, kind of use that as a free Mega opportunity. I think whilst the delay exists, as of right now, it doesn't seem significant enough that Clawz could get the Heavy and then immediately run up to Mega to challenge it. So it's still going to be an interesting turn of events, and now the delay on the Heavy's come through. Now things might become a little bit more even. The fight's going to happen. Dandaking walking right into a rail, and unfortunately, that was just really well played by Clawz, actually, deliberately not taking that Heavy. Gets the frag, and because he deliberately waited, now he's got the 2 major pickups.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of Clawz is just hitting all these rails. He's shooting 70% right now. Going for more. Look at that. What a pixel rail. He's going to push with a rail just up close like a shotgun, and you can't help but feel like Clawz is just like, I don't really respect you. I'm kind of just going to do this now.
I don't think he could have been any more point blank landing that second rail. And he had other options too. Like he had a starting machine gun and that stack, obviously with the awareness, which I no doubt he had. Oh no, the belly of the beast face first into it.
That had to be a little bit of a tilt, right? Dandaking just pushing into that shaft, and he's like, gracefully lower me down into the ground, Clawz.
Give me the sweet blanket of death, master. But that's almost like a complete flip of what we just saw in round number 1. But that was Clawz just, any one of those really ballsy rails he went for, if he missed that, he's dead. Like, period. There's no escape. So, even after losing a round really fast on that kind of play, he is sticking to the strategy of just not caring. Like, again. I know he's got Ghost Walk, but come on.
I think the closer he gets, he's like, I gotta switch to rail for this.
Yeah, I'm at close range. It's railgun time, baby. Even though he's got 10 rockets. I guarantee he's going to go for a close rail again, even with 10 rockets.
Yeah, he's going to spam the rockets from extremely far away and then swap to rail very closely. And he's just waiting. They're playing a game of chicken. Who's going to pick up the item first?
And there it is, yeah. They're both on the same wavelength there, I think. That has, funnily enough, actually done the complete opposite of what I think both of them were trying to do, and it is going to be the same time regardless. This is very, very slow indeed, and both players not really wanting to give away any information. Oh.
Rails missing from both players now. Dandaking finally trying to get some rockets here. Drops down to the heavy armor. Clawz right there to hit him with an initial rail. Can he do a follow-up? Nice little wall jump there. He's going to push in with LG. Dandaking trying to rail him out. There's the orb, and wow. Good rockets from Clawz. 43 HP, though. Needs to be careful off this spawn.
And for a player that is very, very sort of balls to the wall with how he picks his up-close fights, Clawz is, in some ways, like very nerve-wrackingly conservative with his ability when he goes in with Nyx. Like, in so many of those situations, you would have just seen a Ghost Walk popped just to stay safe, right? Clawz doesn't believe in that. If he knows he can win the fight and he can use the Ghost Walk to kill your next champion, even if he's point blank and any rocket could delete him, he still won't pop the Ghost Walk.
Yeah, he's super hesitant to use it. Almost a bit selfish here, as he might get caught up going through this TP. There's one initial rocket, but nothing doing. The pop-up's not good enough, and neither is the rail from Clawz. Dandaking just raining down rockets, saying, please don't chase me. Please not like this.
Really trying to save it until the time is right, I think. Speaking of which, a wonderful amount of LG. That should be another dead Dandaking, and it is going to be down to the final champion, Galena, this time. And we've basically seen nothing from Galena. Like, period. We've seen almost nothing accomplished by this champion so far.
Yeah, and almost getting caught up by that nail. Very fortunate. Dandaking getting by. The corner needs to be careful. Clawz again coming in like a wrecking ball. There's the initial rocket. The fantastic follow-up into the rail. And Clawz is just on point right now.
When it works damn well. It's going to be match point here for Clawz, where it's just, these rounds have just been absolutely out of this world, where I think the plays themselves have been really simple. It's just Clawz having this insane ability to just not miss his shots. But when he does miss them, he's out in the open. He's dead. It gives Dandaking the opening, but if Clawz is simply, I know it's easier said than done, he's just not making those mistakes anymore. Yeah. Dandaking doesn't really have anything to work with.
Yeah, just hitting those shotgun rails from point blank here. He's going to get the drop on Dandaking. And again, another rail just chipping away. Switches to the LG. Keeps Dandaking out of the rail room. Good rockets. Forces out the Ghost Walk here.
But it was wonderful foresight. The only time Clawz has been popping the Ghost Walk so far is when, theoretically, the rocket is guaranteed. Catch him in the middle of his double jump or his wall jump. There's no real way Clawz can adjust his jump arc at that range. He would have taken 100 damage. Now it's time to pop the Ghost Walk, because he knows he can retreat. 10 seconds left, he's got it back already, thanks to the hourglass.
Yeah, doing a great job of just using everything on that side of the map and just hitting every rail, and it's going to swap to LG, trying to get around the corner. He wants this frag. There's the tickle. Dandaking trying to wall jump his way out of there, but nothing doing as the LG will melt him in the hallway.
You almost sort of wonder what Dandaking can do to try and sort of get back on the horse, as it were, because ultimately he seems to be putting himself in these positions where Clawz has the advantage in these 1v1s. One outgunning Clawz in a fight is legendarily hard to do. So you almost wonder, like Dandaking, he's trying to trap Clawz, but it just never seems to work. On the contrary, he now has pretty much fallen for the exact same thing. Ghost Walk's used to negate the Dire Orb. Very, very useful stuff here. However, plenty more life to make up as Clawz is still on the warpath, trying to hunt him down, get some of that long-range rail damage. Speaking of which, there it is, there's one, needs more.
Gives out the heavy, but that rocket, that fadeaway rocket was fantastic, and the Mega's right there. And again, Clawz is in the driver's seat here. He's up a champ. He doesn't really have to worry about much. He's just looking for these rails, trying to chip away at Dandaking. Dandaking needs to get some momentum going here.
Yeah, just stay nice and defensive. In 5 seconds, he's going to have the Ghost Walk back, which means he can start to maybe make a play. There's no way Dandaking can kind of delete his life bar, especially from this far away now. Plenty of stack to work with, and it's really insane to me, Lion, how fast these rounds have all been. It's crazy to think that one round in this series could actually be over.
Yeah, and Dandaking, a little bit of a misplay there, giving up both items. And now Clawz's stack looks like a can of Campbell's Chunky Soup, as has the Ghost Walk as well, has everything to work with and can play super aggressive. Maybe even pull out that shotgun rail that he loves so much.
I think giving up some of these items almost shows an air of doubt from Dandaking almost. Tries to go for the grounded rocket, but again, that double jump is just going to shut it down. Another point-blank rocket. Dandaking just unable to win a single fight. And there's a reason that Nyx is Clawz's favorite champion. You know, because if he wants to play this really fearless style, having a Ghost Walk and having a get out of jail free card for when you finally make an error in judgment, it's horrendous.
Important to note, he didn't even pop it in that fight.
No, he did not.
Again, he just holds on to it. He's like, I don't need it. I don't need it. You're not going to hit these shots. And Dandaking up against the wall, last champion up at Galena. And it's not looking good, but he still has 2 minutes to work with here.
Worth knowing that anyone that has seen Clawz play on LAN, you've seen how close he has his face to the monitor as well, just so he can concentrate and finally loses the fight. Dandaking is going to get the all-important LG fight in his favor, rewarded by a mega health too, so it's looking up just a little bit. Things are looking up.
But Clawz immediately going to that rail. Dandaking trying to spam rockets towards the LG here. Good initial rail.
That was a really fantastic shot. Another one, back to back.
Clawz is just kind of giving these up here. Needs to be careful. He might get caught up by this 50 armor here. 1:10 left for Dandaking. He's going to look the wrong way, get a little bit of LG, and push him down to the ground. That is unfortunate here. 2 seconds to the Mega. He knows, and that missed jump could be horrible, but Clawz is nowhere to be found. Coming up the T-Con.
Unfortunately, if Dandaking was able to get the jump he was after, maybe he'd have been able to put himself in a better position. That said, he can still win the fight, but he's railable, actually. He's 1 HP away from being railable. This is madness. This is madness. Finally puts down a totem to give himself back up to nice and healthy, but taking a little bit of extra damage. 94 HP now.
Clock is ticking here, as Dandaking does have a little bit more of a stack to work with here over by the nail. The rails, though, are going to delete that, and now it's just a battle of rails. Dandaking looking for it, and with the flick shot, Clawz will miss, and that'll put him back in the round. 30 seconds, has a totem and a mega.
It was that last-minute stop. It really was that last-minute stop, but I think kind of fully off Clawz's flick there.
Oh my gosh, and another rail puts Dandaking on the back foot. Needs to be super careful here. Clawz is trying to close in. LG was not going to hit. Should have had the rail out, but Dandaking stays alive. 10 seconds left. It looks like we're going to go to a maybe not so sudden death here.
Dangerous Dandaking is finding now is that because he's getting hit by these constant rails, he's not really able to assert any of the dominance here in the center of the map. He's constantly having to run away. He's having to retreat to the light armors, the light little health bubbles, and it's just, unfortunately, they're pretty predictable paths that you have to take, which kind of gives Clawz that map advantage of, I know exactly where you're going to be, so I'm just going to sit there and wait for a rail angle. Nice.
A nice little chip damage. Could have gotten more, but just enough to keep Clawz at bay here.
At the very least, it's going to be just a little teensy-weensy bit of knowledge. I think he'll take anything he can get at this point. A very scary position to know that you're going to be out of this position.
This
One
could be
champion
it.
goes down.
Not willing to commit, instead escapes to the Mega and catches him out in T-Con with fantastic rockets, and Dandaking not ready to die quite yet, ties it up at 2.
Dandaking doing this 2 maps in a row now.
Yeah. Is he going to break our hearts on the 5th one again?
I don't know. I really don't. It's actually very hard to say because it kind of keeps going back into that classic tale of Clawz, doesn't it? Where straight up, either it works or it doesn't.
Dandaking opting to go nail this time straight to the Mega and rockets off that armor spawn in the courtyard.
This is the time. It's basically all or nothing here for Dandaking. 1 round away from being able to tie things up. If Clawz takes this round, he's going to be moving on in the bracket. There's a lot of mental fortitude I think you kind of need at this level of competition to even process how serious this 1 round is.
And Dandaking eating an early rail here. Both players opting to use Nyx right off the start.
I actually really like how Dandaking has worked this round, by the way. Like I kind of mentioned how a lot of those fights went skew-if because a lot of the fights for some reason were taking place down near rail in those hallways where Clawz has absolute advantage. Dandaking has been paying a lot more attention, I think, to trying to almost like work around where Clawz is trying to go. He's being consistently now less caught in those 1v1s where, you know, I can't take this fight, otherwise I'm dead. You know, now he's look at how patient Dandaking is being to get as much information over where he should go as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very patient, waiting and knowing that I can get this rail for free, and that's huge for Dandaking here. As he also grabs another 50, and the stack's looking a little better, and he's going to be present for this Mega. Clawz nowhere to be found as he was down grabbing the heavy. It's all a matter of who's going to get the opening damage here. Dandaking might have heard that pickup.
Absolutely love this change of pace from Dandaking, actually. It's a complete night and day difference from what we've seen pretty much the entire time. That's a traded rail. Absolutely, and it's hard to say whose favorite it's going to be, seeing as it was heavy versus Mega, right? It's still technically similar health, and that was not even scoped. Not even scoped, Lion. Good God. Okay, there's the exchange for another time. Mega and Heavy. Content playing this slow-paced game. Almost 2 minutes and not a single frag. That's like, we've had 2-minute rounds previously. Uh-oh. Oh, no, yeah. There's the Ghost Walk force desperately. Excellent rail, but even better to make sure you're right near the teleporter to make it risk-free damage.
Is Dandaking going to go for the heavy here? Should know that it's up first. But again, missing out on it.
I think he just heard it as well, so
yeah.
he's at least going to have the timing. But I think he doesn't want timing at this point. He wants results. He wants to get the job done.
Great rail.
Excellent shot. And I think it really is sort of paying dividends to just how much more, I think, attention he's paying to this map. How much data he's trying to absorb. Like, look, he knows every move that Clawz is trying to make because he's just being more patient now.
Missing those rails, unfortunately. And he's like, stay away from the railgun. A little bit of rocket damage, and he's going to peek again. He's going to get in on this heavy finally. Mega is up, and he's going to quickly make his way back, but not quick enough. Clawz will lay claim to the Mega. So again, trading items a lot, trading rails, but stacking back up. Not really a good opening for either player to commit here, but there's the LG early from Clawz over by the nail gun. Ghostwall comes out from Dandaking, very, very weak, and Clawz is going to chase this. Oh, no. You hate to see it.
You hate to see that kind of thing happen. Dandaking has been so patient the entire round, but the one time he's the one that gets ambushed, he's dead.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that kind of suicide can tilt even the best of us, so he's got to really just forget that happened and just pretend it never existed.
Yeah, a minute 30 to work with. It's just mental reset here as he pushes in aggressively with that LG. Unfortunately, doesn't get the better of him. That Dire Orb, a little bit of a Hail Mary there. That'll force Clawz down onto the eyeball here.
The defensive rocket that was not a rocket, it was an orb. There was no way.
Gets him every time.
There was a 100,000% chance that Dandaking was not going to teleport to that orb as well. Like, definitely just damage alone. But pretty smart, though, from Dandaking. Considering, you know, he's surrounded by hourglasses, so... That said, as we now go into the 1 minute warning, it's going to be in Clawz's favor, especially after rockets like that. Dandaking has no choice but to go in and finally lands the clutch rail. And it's going to be evened out pretty nicely in 55 seconds. I'm thinking, Lion, this might be a one champion round.
Yeah, that was a little super aggressive, dropping down with that rail out. Fearless. Dandaking making the moves he needs to now. Very, very risky play with the orb, and Clawz punishes that as he blindly orbs up to T-Con. Now Clawz is going to get the Mega, and this is not looking good for Dandaking with 30 seconds left. He's got to make a move. He doesn't really have the weaponry, he only has an LG. Clawz over at that T-Con is going to jump over, and Clawz can just eat up the clock.
Yeah, and Clawz was just sort of spamming rail at the very beginning with rockets, just in case he knew he was there. If there's no damage being done, it was pretty safe to assume at the time that he could just, you know, strafe jump for free. There's no way he was going to have a rail to fight back. Whereas now with 15 seconds left to go, this is a hard task. Like, Dandaking needs to make a hard call, he needs to chase, but Clawz is going to make it utterly impossible. I'm thinking this is going to be a done deal. 5 seconds left, it's game over, 100%.
Yeah.
And there it is.
That is so unfortunate. That was well played to Clawz. Another 3-2. Dandaking almost pulling that one out. But that altercation at T-Con just didn't go Dandaking's way, and Clawz capitalized.
It was a sort of big play at the very end to pretty much push in entirely with that Dire Orb to try and get it. But, I mean, it is one of those tales where both of these players, you know, they were being playmakers. They were really sort of adapting that. I'm going to pretty much go all in, and I'm prepared to die on this if it doesn't go right. But if it's fine, I get a frag, I get a wonderful position, and just Clawz with, I got to say, dare I say, the most unique dueling style, I think, in the world at this point. There's a reason this guy won 2 QuakeCons.
Yeah. I think that carefree style really just works well with him. And I don't know if they saw it, but 54 rails fired from Clawz. Again, those point-blank shotgun rails. He's just not afraid to take those. He's like, I hit these. That's what happens. So, yeah, that was an incredible series.
It is kind of, I think, the hallmarks of a champion. Someone that's not afraid to take those big risks. And in this case, it paid off. We're going to throw you guys back over to the desk. Take away, chaps.
Dan made it just scary enough for my heart to get tugged around a little bit. That last round on Ruins of Sarnath, that was really